Hey there, you're listening to You Still Going On About That with Rob Israel and Joseph K. You can find us anywhere you could download podcasts. You could also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at YSGOAT. Thanks for listening. I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that?
All right, Joseph, what are you talking? What are we talking about this week?
We're talking about.
What are you talking about, Joseph?
Well, we got a collection of topics. We're going to start by talking about a new trend in the art world, NFT, non-fungible token art.
Sounds like an infection that you need to go to the doctor with when I hear the word fungible.
It sounds like an artist was like crying out to the sky, "You'll never kill art," and capitalism said, "You want to bet?" Like, okay, so we're talking about NFTs, and we're talking about the Texas mask, lack of a Texas mask mandate.
Yep, brilliant Greg Abbott move.
Yep. We're going to talk about CPAC. We're going to talk about the new GOP obsession with writing overly restrictive voting laws, and then we're going to follow up with our
Why would they do that?
Oh yeah, right. And then we're going to talk about cancel culture, which we've talked about a bunch of times before, and we actually even had a whole show on once. And that's where we're going to probably end.
To be clear, we're talking about I almost feel like we should come up with a new word for this kind of cancel culture, because it's not really cancel culture. It's the right wing having reactionary takes to things that are not even happening.
Yeah,
nothing is actually. We'll say that this is like a fun thing to talk about in the end. It's pretty funny.
Yes.
But we're going to talk. All right, let's go into. But before we start that, I just want to tell everybody who's listening, if you like this show,
yeah,
you like listening to it, you like the sound of my soothing voice, and Joseph's raspy whine. Right? Yeah, that's a good.
I've been working on my AMSR channel, so
you visit our Patreon and throw us a buck.
Yeah.
If you've listened to more than one episode, maybe 2, 3,
right?
Why don't you consider going to? You can go on our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YSGOAT, follow it, and click on the link. You could go to our Patreon and become a goat. So all you have to do is pay $1.
Yeah,
a goat. If we get some more goats, we'll think of something we could do special for you goats. But until then, thank you for anyone who's been a Patreon member. We can count you on one hand, literally.
Oh yeah, yep.
With one hand. We would like to make. Hey, I have an idea. Let's get the 2 hands worth of Patreon members by 2022. Can we do that, guys? Let's do it. So if you like listening to us, become a member. We're happy to have you come along. All right.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of throwing your money away, here's a thing called. There's this thing called NFT.
Yes.
And what does it stand for?
Non-fungible token.
So back in a couple of years ago, there was these things called, and I used to hear about it, and I had no idea what they were, but they were called rare pepes.
Okay.
Have you heard of this? And
I've not heard of this in this context. No.
Okay, I've heard like someone paid $40,000 for a rare pepe, and I was like, wait. Like somebody paid $40,000 for somebody to draw Pepe the Frog, and they paid them. What was Pepe the Frog doing? And why was it rare? And then I realized it's like kind of like one of these things. It's one of the, right? They're scarce, right?
Right.
You go ahead and describe it. You seem to have read up a little more on it than I have.
Yeah, like
on the details at least.
A non-fungible token, and I don't know a ton about it, but I know it has something to do with the blockchain technology where you can literally produce and keep track of ownership of a digital item. You can prove that this is the original digital item that was created, And if you transfer that item, then presumably, I guess in the next blockchain iteration of that, it'll have the original items data on it and then the copied item. So it's a way to make a digital thing rare and unique. And I guess it got pretty big in the art world. You showed me a non-fungible token piece of art that sold for like $700,000, which was really.
It was like a picture of a. Let me see if I can find it.
Like a fleshed out stick figure head or something.
It was literally like an 8-bit, poorly drawn 8-bit face.
Yeah.
Supposedly it sold for $700,000. At that point, that's not. Okay, so here, I've got a lot of problems with the whole thing. So
okay.
Here's my main issue with it. Like, yes. This isn't artwork. This is like literally, now somebody will say, well, anyone could say that. Anyone can say that's not artwork. And it would sound just like that for some reason. It'd be like, well, listen here, sir. This is what artwork is. And you pay $700,000 for an 8-bit drawing. It took somebody 4 seconds to do it on their iPad while they were taking a shit. This is not artwork. Okay, so if you go to like, you see like Christie's auctions and
sure.
Like, you see like a Van Gogh, or not Van Gogh, it was Pablo Picasso sold for like $10 billion or something, right?
Sure.
Like, it's crazy, you know, or like Action Comics #1 was auctioned off. 6.0 copy of it in 1938 went for $3 million. I mean, it's crazy, but again, it's from a long time ago, and it's a well-preserved copy of the original of an iconic character or one-of-a-kind painting from an iconic artist. They require care. They require like handling. Lots of hands are involved with it. Yep. And it helps generate the value of things. And there's like almost like a little bit more of a truth to these values. Like a couple of years ago, I remember watching the Metallica documentary.
Okay.
And in the documentary, Lars, the lamest of all the Metallica members.
Yeah, he's the art collector one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He bought, they should have seen where he buys a Basquiat painting for like a couple $1 million.
Okay.
Maybe it was like $1 million or a little over $1 million or whatever, right?
Right.
And now think about that, guys. You know, when you were trying to steal those albums,
right?
On Napster,
those Basquiats don't grow on trees.
Yeah, you were trying to prevent Lars from buying a Basquiat. Well, if you guys were worried about that, let me just make it feel better. A few years later, Lars was able to sell that same Basquiat painting for like $13 million.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, okay, and he's a rich guy making money. But again, the difference is, regardless of the hands exchanging and all that stuff, there you have this painting that is massive, that has history, an artist's name attached. The artist is dead for years. He has not been able to enjoy his wealth because he died a long time ago, and which is sad because he probably could have still been alive today. He wasn't that old. Maybe like in his late 50s, early 60s.
I was going to say he'd probably be my age, to be perfectly
honest.
No,
he'd be older than that. He'd be older than that.
But
regardless, he would be alive today and be able to thank Lars for buying his painting and making $13 million. But regardless, there's a lot of hands involved. There's a lot of to preserve a quality artwork like that. There's like a realness to it. There's a true value. His art hangs in museums. His name means something. It represents culture. Represents like millions of things.
Right.
And Lars is a douchebag and like whatever. But like it makes sense. Doesn't make sense. And I know like someone will come in and be like, well, you know, as an artist, you should be happy for these things because you can make money off of it, which is true. Like, I think you could collect like a percentage of it. Like, but I honestly looked into it. I tried getting something going And I just looked into it and realized like you got to pay all this kind of money if you want to get on. There's like a ton of sites.
Yeah.
And to really mean anything, you want to be on the good ones.
Right.
And it just, it's like I sell my artwork all the time. Like I just got commissioned just now before we started this. I sell prints and stickers, and I just feel like this is actually going to devalue art. Like, and now someone will come in and say, "No, wait, man, you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong, bro. This is the future." No, this is not. Okay, you know what? I'll say it right now, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Whatever, I don't care. Tell me in 6 months from now what's going on here with this. And I also feel like if I really wanted to have done this right, I should have done this a year ago when it was an actual thing. But now that it's become a trending piece that is being reported on by big media outlets, guess what? It's kind of done already. You just don't realize it yet. It's at its peak. And people will say, "No way, man, this is just the beginning." It is literally like someone one artist on he's a guy named Coop. He's like a famous artist. He did he called it a pog. Like he said, this is bullshit. And I found a Simpsons thing. My favorite, and it's funny. Me and my son were watching that. My son's like, "Can we watch the episode where Bart says makes everyone sing Inagata Vita?"
The church.
It happened to be that episode where
that's funny.
Bart, look, it's Alf in Pog. He's back in Pog form, and it just like made me crack up. And I was like, "Oh my god, this is insane!" Because yesterday I posted a meme I made where it was like, "Look, Bart, it's Alf, and he's back as an NFT digital token." I mean, okay, go ahead now. Tell me why I'm wrong, Joseph.
No, I don't think you're wrong. I think to me, there's something. You have like these conflicting ideals or whatever. Like I kind of look at like music, like, and I think music's kind of an interesting example because
they're doing NFTs of music.
Yeah, Kings of Leon is doing they're going to be the first album that's an NFT. And but it's weird, like digital music. I love digital music. I stream it all the time. But I also started getting back into vinyl because I really like just kind of what you're saying. I like the physical aspect of it, the fact that you can, pick it up and read the liner notes and look at the art. And a lot of times now vinyl comes with like extra stuff attached to it. Like they'll throw in, a sticker or a virtual ticket to like a live stream concert or something. And it's just different, I mean, it feels like
that's cool because it's like you're giving someone an experience.
Yeah.
Now, when it's that, what are they charging for something like that?
Well, so I bought a record album recently, and it's kind of weird. I think it was $40 total, and you got 2 record albums. You got their newest record,
like an actual physical record.
Yes. Plus their most recent one in an exclusive colored vinyl. So you got 2 record albums, and then you also got your choice of these other things. And what I chose was a ticket to a virtual concert where they're going to set up probably like a Zoom room or something, and they'll play a show and they'll take requests from the people that are on there. It's limited to 1,000. So I think that's like a pretty good business model. I jumped on it. I really like the idea of getting these things in the mail, these physical things. And I also would really like the idea of like hanging art on my wall. Like, I don't know, part of like art for me is like displaying it and sharing it with people. You know what I mean? Like, I don't reflect quietly on art I've accumulated. I like put it up and then people come over and then you talk about it and I don't know. I mean, that's just how I experience art.
Joseph's art are just, they're called spank rags. He has an old chest filled with them. He's like, "This is my art."
I carefully take out the staple, and
the pages are stuck together, but don't mind that.
No, I mean, you're right. I mean, I'm talking like I have this art collection or whatever, right? But I'm just talking about like random stuff I've accumulated. Some of it from like, some of it's
mine.
Yeah, right. Some of it's like nice, legitimate things from legitimate artists.
I have stuff like the one you're talking to.
But I also have stuff that like students of mine painted in the past that I love, that I think is like really cool, and part of it's sentimental and part of it's whatever. So I'm a big believer in digital things. I believe in blockchain. I'm not like weird about it, but I believe in like Bitcoin and Ethereum and all that. I think that stuff is real and it's going places. But yeah, I don't know about the NFT.
Okay, so the stuff you described to me though is very different from like with the band, what they're offering with their NFT.
Yeah,
there's like a lot of value. Now, can you go and sell this NFT on a market and like make $1 million from it, or does it not work that way?
I don't think so anymore, because it used to be there's this scarcity thing. If you have one NFT and it's unique, you probably could sell it. But now if you have like minor bands cranking out these things in reasonably mass quantity, what's the market going to be for them?
So they're basically sending you a QR code.
Yeah, I mean, it is. But here's the thing. Here's the other argument I've heard in favor, and you might appreciate this, in favor of NFTs, is it allows artists to track their art. Because it's on a blockchain with data attached to it and everything. So theoretically, if the artist has more control over that image.
Okay, so I heard about that, and that sounds interesting. Like I said, I do like that aspect of like somebody being able to, let's say I put out like 10 copies and only sell them, right? And I sell them for like stupid money. I find it almost insulting that like in theory, like I can sell a physical drawing for a couple $100, if not more.
Yeah.
But for some moronic reason, there are people who would pay like, which I don't think they would for me because I'm not a proven name in that market, but they would pay like thousands of dollars for a fucking JPEG when it's like, well, you want to just buy the actual hand drawn? I mean, like, if you want to talk about scarce,
right?
Nothing's more scarce than an actual original piece of artwork.
True, but like an actual physical piece of artwork is subject to damage, and I mean all sorts of theft.
So is a digital. Yeah, like literally anything digital can face some kind of damage. Like that's not a far-fetched thing. I mean,
no, you're right. I mean that is true.
My biggest problem with the whole thing, though, and the thing that bothers me is how bad this is for the environment.
Well, yeah,
like it blows my mind. Like it sounds cartoonishly stupid. Like why would this be so bad for the environment? What is going on? What are they doing to generate this?
It's the electricity needed
to
process.
I use Instagram. Isn't that it generate? I mean, that's being held on a server somewhere. It's not like it's in
yeah, but it's not like this really
you don't have it on an Instagram building or something.
It's not like and again, I'm not a computer scientist. I don't know the detail behind it, but like you're talking about running computers, high speed computers constantly to generate these blockchains and to
I remember reading early on with Bitcoin, like you can mine for Bitcoin, you just need like tons of servers. Like there's people who literally you have like servers and they invest a ton of money and they literally mine Bitcoin, which just sounds really bizarre and it's like beyond my brain level to like, but to me, like the whole idea in the end of the day just sounds absolutely insane. And I heard like with these NFTs that like it's used more energy than like Argentina did in like or something insane. Like I just like I know the argument. Someone can make the argument. Well, like you use Carmen, you do this and you like
Yeah.
turn on the stove, and it's like, yeah, I get that, but like, shut the fuck up.
That, yeah.
Like, I don't want to hear that dumb. That's dumb. I don't want to contribute for something so stupid.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like it just sounds dumb. Like, do you remember? You ever heard of like the what is it like the Dutch bulb disaster?
Yeah,
like,
the Dutch tulip bulb.
That's what this reminds me of. It just sounds like some bullshit that like.
Well, this more so, yeah. I mean, like I said, I believe in blockchain cryptocurrency.
Well, you're talking about it as in a like a potential for using money,
yeah,
or like an exchange of goods. You believe in blockchain, but I'm talking about this specific like auction sites. This just seems like so ever since like kind of COVID happened, and I feel like I'm like reliving the late 80s with this.
Yeah.
The collector and early 90s collectors markets have blown up big time since last year. Comic books have become super collectible. Collectible cards have become insanely, like, you can't get Pokemon anywhere. You can't get supposedly like basketball cards are crazy, and they also have NFTs of those too, which is insane.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And they have like all these things. So like collectors markets, they're insane. But the thing is, like, the problem is, and I've watched this already when I was younger, they peak, something stupid happens, and they blow up. And to me, there's no way this is sustainable. This is like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's going to harm any artists or anything, but I just don't see I mean, there's going to be money made. People are going to make a ton of money, but anyone who's like, I need to invest money into this because it's going to you are in for a massive disaster. Like,
well, I would say too that this seems like, and I say this about school privatization and all sorts of other things, it seems like some young guy is driving past art show and he sees Rob making a buck selling his art, and he's like, how can I get some of that buck? I mean, it seems like there's probably like this middleman that is like, I would like to make money. I would also like to make money off of
there's a lot of middlemen involved with this NFT stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it seems like that's something I would be real wary of, is how many people do you want in on this? I mean, I don't know. It seems.
I just think like when you have like, and then when more people get involved, you get less educated people. You get people who are not savvy with it, and they make really bad decisions. It's like the same thing with like comics. Like, I know I can go to like, I'm pretty savvy in like older books, and I'm doing like research and stuff. So when I know like I could find something and know that one has value when like they're selling it for nothing.
Right.
And like, I'll get a good deal because I had the knowledge and the education to understand like, oh, that's first appearance of this character. You wouldn't know that because he's not on the cover.
Right.
But I know that. Like, but there's people who don't, and they'll be like, I'm gonna get into comic books, and then I'm gonna get involved with this. Like, I don't know dick about Pokemon cards. I get my kid them. I don't know shit about them. I don't know their value. So I would never, like, he wanted to buy like old ones. I'm like, listen, you gotta do research on these because you could buy like something old and it has zero fucking value.
Yeah, just because it's old.
And a store will have no problem ripping your little ass off.
Yeah.
Like, they have no problem doing it because they did it to me when I was a kid. But I just think, like, again, though, it's like there's something about, and I know people, it's like the thing with me, like, I never like buying digital records or digital music. I like owning it. Now, if it comes with a digital code or something to download it, sure. But I want that physical item.
I think like there is a difference here. Like, we're kind of like talking about different things, because like when you produce a piece of art, like let's say, and I'm guessing at this, so correct me when I get something of it wrong, but let's say you hand draw a piece of art. Now that art is literally one of a kind, and it's worth a chunk of money. And then let's say you're like, okay, well, I'm also going to make these copies of this art, and I'm going to sign these copies, and they're going to be worth less money because they're not the original thing, but they're still worth more money than just a Xeroxed copy because I signed them and numbered them, right? Would that be true?
Xerox, Joseph.
What?
They're not Xerox. I use a high quality.
No, I'm just saying, like, you would, the original art is like,
yeah. No, I know that's usually how prints work. Like, and if you use silk screen, then you can charge even more because it's like there's like more hand to it.
So let's take the original artist out of it and let's just look at Pokemon cards or something like that. So let's say you're doing Pokemon cards and they have a very rare Pokemon card. It's like Mewtwo or whatever, you know, they get like a certain one. Now, let's say eventually kids start getting 3D printers and they're just like cranking out these rare cards left and right.
They can, but it's not there's ways for people to figure that out.
Yeah,
and
but let's
there's
just
always
say,
going to be scam. Listen, there's always going to be scam artists, no matter what. That is inevitable. No matter what industry, they have people who make fake copies of art. They have experts who know all that stuff. But the thing is about this thing, I just find really bizarre. And I've had people say, like, you know, get in or get left behind. You know, get on the train or stand back. And I'm just like, okay. I don't feel it. It just does not, it's not something that, like, I just find it really bizarre. It's like, okay, so I post a thing on Instagram and I'm like, hey guys, you want to go bid on this art that you can see here on, now there's a lot of 3D artists that do stuff and it's a little more intense and you get like a little 3D movie and there's like stuff like that. There's one guy named Beeble Crap who's like made millions from this. And he does like these intense like CGI like artwork. He does like a lot of like stuff with Trump and a lot of like Biden and all that.
Yeah.
And you can go on his Instagram and see it, but like he is one of the probably the most successful artists when it comes to like this NFT stuff. And it almost like makes sense because of what he does, and there's like depth, and it makes sense that someone would be like, oh yeah, I want to pay like that. But like the fucking stupid pixel drawing thing, I see that and I'm just like, fuck.
I know, I kind of chalk that up to like the Andy Warhol effect, where like
Andy Warhol like had there was something to it.
Yeah, I know, but this is
That's
in
not
my head.
That looks like clip art. That doesn't even like
that does look really bad. But like the Campbell soup can or the Brillo pad.
But there's something even to that. Like they were like big and bold and like
and they were differently colored.
Like a hand to it. It wasn't like you had to know what you were doing to do that.
I'm just saying, like, it's in my head, it's comparable. It's certainly not the same thing. But like Andy Warhol was doing like lithographs and stuff. I mean, he was doing like
it just seems like a scheme. And again, I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, whatever. If I look back a year from now and I'm like, oh man, I could have been rich from this.
But I think you can get in on this at any point. Like you can still
But I just don't, but again, I don't feel comfortable with it because of the environmental impact.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with art, it's a little tougher sell. I think when you're talking about blockchain money, it's like, well, look, if you're talking about blockchain as a store of value, then yeah, it is shitty for the environment. But you know what? So is oil, and so is like diamond mining and gold
this
mining.
Is worse than oil.
Man, I don't know.
I know that sounds a little like.
That sounds like a lot.
I think it's not really that it's worse than like oil. Like if you drank oil, you'd be like, well, at least it wasn't an NRT. You know, like no, you'll die. Yeah. It's more like how much it uses to produce is the problem.
Yeah.
Like so, like I said, the fact that it to power these things is like more than most countries.
Right.
Sounds, like that doesn't sound good. That
doesn't. I don't know. I mean, like, I'm talking a little like, out of my element, but
I don't feel like it's at this point. All this stuff, this blockchain, all these things, I don't feel like it's doing what it was supposed to be or what it was intended to be. I feel like it's become a gold rush type scenario where tech bros and schemers and scam artists and stuff like that, not like artists, but scam artists. I mean, like finding ways to just, and listen, if it creates rich people from it and their lives are improved from it, then great. But like I said, I just don't know if it's right for me. I don't know. Like if I do it one day, maybe. I just don't think at this point in my life I'm like, I looked at it. Like I said, I had a file ready to go, and then like there was so many things involved. It's like you have to put your wallet, and then you have to do this, and then you need gas, and I'm just like,
right, yeah,
what? And then you have to spend money, you know, like you gotta spend money to make money. But it wasn't like a we. It was like if I want to make things like, for instance, I gotta spend money, right?
True, yeah.
That's not the same thing. Like this is like something bizarre. Like this is like there's so many, and then like I was looking at it, it's like, well, you need a secret code for your wallet, and if you forget this, you cannot get it. You ever heard of people who have like millions of dollars?
Oh yeah,
they lost. Oh, they had like there was a guy who had like a Bitcoin collection or something. Yep. And he had like hundreds of millions of dollars supposedly on it because he probably bought it when it was worth nothing.
Yeah, and he doesn't know his password anymore.
And they said that like it's gonna disappear at some point, which is insane.
Yeah, he'll die and it will be stuck in that wallet. You know,
that's absolutely crazy that they can't.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think I probably feel the same as you in that I'm real skeptical of it, but I know enough to know that like I wouldn't completely discount it 100%. You know, sometimes things just have a way of taking off and then.
Well, like I said, Bitcoin and all that stuff is a different subject. I'm talking about the NFT thing. I just think is like, I feel like the people who are making millions of dollars, they're the ones that are going to make millions of dollars of it, and everyone else is going to make like little scrapples.
Yeah,
and hey,
that could be.
You know what? There's nothing wrong making scrapples. If you make a couple of thousand here and there from this, and all you have to do is just post.
True. Yeah.
Drawing, well, then good for you. I mean, but I find it. I maybe I'm old. That's it. Maybe I became an old man and I don't understand it, or I need someone, grandpa needs a young pup to make it for me.
Yeah, right. Well,
weird.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where it goes.
I see all these artists I follow, like they're all posting on. I'm just like, I should have done this months ago, and it's like, you kind of missed the boat. To do it properly and do it right and make it actually effective. But also, I see a lot of these artists that I know they're doing. They are just much bigger names than I am. That's the thing. That's the reality. They have blue check marks. They're established names in the industry. They're the types that, like, if they put out a print, it sells out in like an hour. I may, just because I have like a lot of followers on Instagram.
Right.
It's a mirage because I post stuff all the time, and it takes me a very long time to sell my prints. Maybe some quicker than others.
Sure.
I have some items I've sold very quickly, and then I have some I'm like, I can't, like, it just sells. I mean, but it's slow. It's a slow drip. So for me to like, I don't think that like I'm in a position where it's like, hey guys, I'm dropping a NFT and I'm going to charge like, I don't even know. Like I said, I want to look at them. People sell them. Like I said, and you got to go on these pages. Some of the art is garbage. And I'm sorry, no offense to anyone. Like, this is not I mean, like, I see great stuff that people put out on Instagram and like other social media, and it's like pretty damn amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, that should be like NFTs or anything. But the stuff that I see that is like that drawing that I showed you earlier, that's like, come on now. It looks like the little guy.
It's laughably bad, yeah.
Yeah, like it's almost like it's almost like someone saying, fuck you, haha.
Right, yeah.
But to me, it's almost like saying, like, this is a joke. And the thing is, like, I will wrap this up and talk about something else, but like, let me a joke of like, I gotta see this like crashing the world market. Like, it's so ridiculous. Like it's at Grimes the other day, like, sold something, made like $6 million off of in 20 minutes off, and it's just like,
what, she make like a song and
no, I don't know what the fuck it was, or if she bought something and sold it. But the fact is, it's like, again, it's Elon Musk fucking
right. Yeah.
I mean, like, come on, these are rich people. They like get new heads for Christmas.
Yeah, but the rules are a little different for them.
What? Yeah. And it's like, but that money, like, It's like we're sitting here like morons arguing for $15 an hour.
Yeah.
While some jackass makes up little pixel art and it's like, and sells it for $700,000. Now I know people, some asshole will come in and go, well, that's just the way it is, and you don't like it, then you gotta get on the train or stand back, or it's gonna go off, man. That I've heard the people who say stuff like that is like always like the most conniest of salespeople. Like, we're on this train, man, and it's moving.
Well, that's the classic. Like, whenever anyone pressures you to make a decision quickly, it's usually like that's the first tip off of a scam. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just don't. I'm like, listen. You know what? I know. I'm sure that some of my followers would be like, they would love to buy an NFT from me, but as of right now, my NFTs are so rare and scarce. They're so rare and scarce that they don't even exist right now.
Yeah, right.
So I'm holding out.
They're conceptual.
They're not even. They're not even. Yeah, they're. You know what's rare? Like I said, you guys want to buy? I was like making a joke. I was like, any new art that I was going to post on Instagram now, I was just going to call it rare and scarce. And see if anyone even picks up on that. Like, no one's. I did. Like I said, I posted a thing and I got tons of people saying stuff. Well, all right, let's move on. Like I said, I've only found out it left me in a funk for the past couple of days.
Yeah.
As an artist, it really bothered me. It's like, and this isn't like listen, as an artist, you're told like, if you don't do this, you don't do this, you're a dinosaur, you don't do this, right? Like I've seen this, I've been in like licensing industry, I know you have to constantly progress. Now you gotta update your style sometimes. You gotta learn new technology. It helps to, you know, you want to, especially if you're working for companies, you want to find ways to do things as quick as possible.
Right.
In the best way possible too. There's new programs. It's good to learn them. It's fun to learn them, but that's one thing. This is something else. This is not, this is like another thing. And I don't, I'm trying to like figure like, this should not affect me as like, I should still be able to get work and do things. If I don't want to do this weird thing that's on the internet, that is, because somebody wrote a thing and said, well, you know, back in the day when MySpace was on, did you think that you would be able to like, you know, get a career of art from that? And I wrote to the person like, well, actually, yeah, because it was just a thing to put art on. Like it literally got eyes on my artwork. That's how I saw it. Like when I used Instagram, I went on there. I literally just started out with Post-it note drawings.
Oh yeah.
Got a couple of likes and it grew from there. Didn't involve me having to create a wallet, having to start like buying gas or whatever they call it, and like have to like get the right gallery. You have to like, I've heard stories of like artists having to like almost put out audition tapes in these galleries. I'm just like, fuck that. No way. Yeah. Fuck you. No, fuck that shit. I'm not an American Idol. Get the fuck out of here. Gotta get on this train.
Well,
get you. This train is moving, and if you're not on it, and I was trying to explain to them like that's totally different. You're comparing apples and oranges here. Instagram never asked anything from me. I literally just used the platform, and I didn't even go in on the platform thinking that like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have like 100,000 followers. I was happy when I got like 100 followers. I was like blown away.
Right.
But I was just posting drawings. That's it. It didn't involve me having to, I don't know, burn a rainforest so that I could sell, so that some weirdo can resell my JPEG that I sold.
Yeah.
Like, I do like the idea of an artist's name being attached to something. Because like you said, like the painting that gets sold, even though Basket's been dead for years.
Right.
Like the estate of Basket would get 10% of Lars's money, right?
Yeah. So,
if it was a digital blockchain thing. But that's great. But I'm like, can we find another way to get artists money that doesn't involve something so, like they have this thing called like royalties, but that's not easy thing. Like, you know, if you set up something like, oh, certain amount of t-shirts, you get like 5%, or you get 1, you know, whatever.
Well, I don't
Yeah, go
know.
ahead.
It just seems that things are trending more and more digital. I think you can be fine without doing this. I don't think it's like a make or break type of thing. I think you're right that the vast majority of people that do it aren't going to get rich off of it. They're just going to like,
Hold on a second. A portal just opened up.
Okay.
It's a lot of lightning here. Portal's opening up. Hey, it's me, Rob from Universe 36. And I sound like this. I've got big into NFT.
How'd it make out for you?
I have an oiled chest now with lots of gold chains. I live on an island.
Yeah.
Many servants. I don't know why he sounds like this. Like a weird
Mario.
Yeah, Wario.
It's a me, Rob. It's
a me, Wario. I hit a block and a gold coin came out. So I kept on hitting that block and more gold coins came out. But then I stood on a spike and flew up again. Okay, move on to the next thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, the next big thing was kind of it didn't come out of the blue entirely, but it took me a little by surprise. Is that
I saw it coming.
I saw it coming, but the actual thing was like kind of out of the blue. Governor Abbott in the state of Texas, where we're located, came out and said he's 100% getting rid of every coronavirus restriction starting March 10th.
So everyone's vaccinated in Texas? That's great.
No, in fact, Texas has one of the worst vaccination rates.
Wow, that's really stupid.
Yeah, well, it is. It's hard to say. My gut feeling is that Texas recently almost lapsed back into the Middle Ages because of their colossal power grid failure. And this seems like a great political distraction. And
so he fucked, okay, let's be fair. Did Abbott fuck up the power grid? No, but personally, he is a shill for the fossil fuel industry. What did Abbott do when people were freezing and losing their homes and had no power, no water? He went on fucking Fox News and blamed it on technology that isn't even the dominant problem in the state. There is no Green New Deal in Texas. It does not exist. There's no one there to implement the Green New Deal because it's run by scumbag Republicans like Greg Abbott. Unless Greg Abbott one day went, I have an idea. I'm going to put in the new Green Deal. And then I'm going to go on TV and trash it. No one will know the difference. No. Fuck it. The turbines took 10% of the power of Texas, right? Like, it doesn't even produce 10% of the power. Fossil fuel lines that froze. Not exactly, I'm not saying it correctly, but it was that industry, their shit got fucked up.
Yeah.
And what did he do? He begged Biden for money, of course.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to succeed, but can I have some money?
Well,
please.
Yeah. This seems to me like a distraction from all that. Like it will make his base super happy. And I saw after he announced it today, I immediately ran inside because I knew that everywhere people would be firing their 6 guns into the air in celebration.
We do not live in a cartoonish area of Texas. The town is not filled with Yosemite Sam.
My neighbor, Yosemite Doug.
Yosemite Doug. Oh, okay. Sorry, my Sam. I live next to a Yosemite Frank.
When they first announced mask restrictions, he said "What de tarnation," and was very displeased. But when Abbott lifted them all, he took his 6 shooters out of his holster and fired them into the air wildly, shouting "Yeehaw!"
Bullet flew back down and killed him.
Well, no. So it'll get his base very excited, and it will also have the added benefit of owning the libs.
Definitely spreading having a out of control pandemic with new deadly strains is definitely the best to own the libs that way. Well, nothing owns the libs like killing your constituents.
I think that there's something to that, because no law enforcement officers in the state of Texas enforce this mandate. The sheriff in our own county has already said, he said a year ago, I'm not going to enforce any of these.
Yeah, when Abbott announced it immediately, like no joke, within seconds, the sheriffs in most of Texas were like, we're not enforcing this.
Yeah, do whatever you want. We're not going to enforce it.
But it's still, it allowed stores to be able to put a sign and say the governor of Texas says this, and this. And most people did, believe it or not. I always get these morons come on my page like, you're a sheep. I'm like, dude, you're all sheep, dude. There is my laws work. There's a reason why we wanted to make sure things help. If you put laws in, it protects people because laws work. It's part of society. Yeah. And when you break a law, guess what? You should go to jail unless you're a millionaire, or a Republican politician.
I think there's something to the owning of the libs that pisses me off so much, because since the sheriffs don't enforce this and the police don't enforce it, there's a ton of people that don't wear masks now.
No, they weren't before, but okay, you had
I don't think much is going to change. I think that the people that have been wanting to go into restaurants and everything, they've been going into restaurants.
Well, that's different. I'm not worried about that. I don't go into restaurants. I don't care about that. I don't give a fuck about that. I'm more concerned about going into stores where I need to buy things that I need to live.
There's already been people marching around there without masks.
Yeah, but those numbers were so minute. If you walk, let's say you walk into a Walmart or Target or any supermarket.
Yeah.
I would go in there sometimes and everyone was wearing a mask. Some of them could do a better job.
Sure.
But the majority of them were wearing masks, especially months into it. People just got used to doing it. You would see, if you were in a store with 500 people, 1,000 people in the store, I would see maybe 2 or 3 people without a mask. Yeah. And that they would stick out like a sore fucking thumb. But at the end of the day, it was just 2 to 3 fucking douchebags that refused to wear a mask. Now that the law is lifted, or the mandate, it wasn't a law, now that the mandate is lifted, you will see a shit ton, and it may not start out quickly, but within a month, you will go in the store and you will see less than half the people wearing masks, because there are people.
Yeah, I can see that.
This is so horrible on so many levels that it's like I just got fully vaccinated, and I was like, no joke, Monday or something, we're talking about maybe actually going on a vacation during the summertime, go somewhere where we can even if it's not, just a place to get away, nothing big,
right?
Driving trip or something, because I really don't want to go on an airplane, especially if I see Ted Cruz on there, he doesn't wear a mask. Honestly, I don't know. I probably would feel safe on an airplane. I think they're actually going to enforce masks still.
Yeah, right.
But now I don't want to go anywhere, and it's someone will say, "Well, Rob, you're vaccinated. Why is vaccinated?" Yeah, but my son isn't.
Yeah.
And the vaccine only works if the majority of people get it. It works, I'll still be protected, but it doesn't fully work unless you want to get, like they said, herd immunity. The only way to reach herd immunity if you get a large portion of the population vaccinated. So Abbott's threw a complete monkey wrench into the vaccination operation of the state. We were just starting to pick up. They found quicker ways to do it. The numbers have been getting higher, but Texas is, like you said, not even 7% vaccinated.
Yeah.
Abbott announced today, if he said yesterday, I would still disagree with them, but I wouldn't be as appalled by this. After we reach a certain number of vaccinations, which I'm demanding that certain amount of people are vaccinated by this date, I will start looking at lifting the mask mandate. If he said back in July, kids are not in school, people are not there, some people are not in the state, some people are away, whatever. But you have a large portion of people vaccinated. And the virus wasn't supposed to be as bad during the summer, right? Cold, it's supposedly hotter air, doesn't move around. Right. I'd be Okay. But this is insanity. Biden today said it was Neanderthal thinking,
Yeah.
which I thought was really funny. But that you lose people there by that comment because it involves people who have to like understand evolution and realize that Neanderthals like
you have to look up the word and then
like that they died out. They basically went extinct. And Abbott's a piece of shit. Yeah, this is a distraction to make people forget about his shitty energy.
Yeah.
Fuck up. And the fact that they just let AOC and Beto like make him look like an idiot. And also he doesn't want to get primary. We're starting, that's why like we want the Biden presidency and the Democrats to do big, bold things now. Because if they don't do it before the end of spring, we're fucked. Because you start getting you start talking about the 2022 election this summer. Yep. It already goes into effect. And the reason why Abbott's got this is a fuck you to Biden. This is a fuck you to science. This is a fuck you to Democrats. This is a fuck you to Beto. This is like a fuck you to the working class. There is give me a reason. Can you give me one good reason why we should lift the ban? The mask mandate, any?
No. I mean, like you could argue. No, not the mask mandate.
Smiles.
You could argue like. I mean, no. I guess I don't know enough about the businesses opening at 100% capacity or not. To be perfectly honest, like I've walked by businesses, I've popped in businesses to get takeout. From the looks of what I've seen, people are just doing whatever the hell they want anyway. I mean, like I see plenty of businesses open, no lines. There's plenty. It's not like people are waiting to get inside. I mean, I don't know.
Wait, what? What do you mean?
Well, like you asked if there's any good reason to get rid of a mask mandate, and I don't think so. I mean, like a mask mandate, that's no big deal. We should keep it until we get to a certain amount vaccinated. The other parts of that thing that he's changing, which is like restaurants need to open at like a certain capacity, and he's opening them back up to 100%. I don't know. I mean, like I haven't seen any restaurants turning people away.
Yeah, I was always like, I would drive by places and stuff, and I'm like, they're fully packed. Like, the fuck, what? They might have, you know what it is? If anything, they probably had like less seats. Like they closed up some seats and moved them, and now they're just gonna squish all the seats back in.
Yeah, but I've never seen like people waiting to get into a restaurant. Like it seems like if someone shows up and they want to go eat in a restaurant, they'll figure out a way to make it work, or they have been. I can see them arguing certain things like that, and it is a little gray area now with some people being vaccinated. Like, I don't know, but we're only at like 8% vaccinated.
No, not even. I just said 6 or 7.
Well, okay, yeah, in that we have very few people vaccinated.
It's not enough. It's not enough to make a real dent.
So
you're not even talking about a quarter of the population. You're literally talking about less than 10%. That is pathetic.
Well, and these are the people that are probably not going out and doing a bunch of stuff anyway. It's probably mostly elderly people that are.
No, that's not true. I went and I got vaccinated, and I saw lots of people that were.
Well, how is that
not
true?
Elderly people? Now I only could see so many people because we're in our cars.
Okay, because like I've tried to get vaccinations here, and the way.
Just gain like 20 pounds, Joseph. I'm serious. Like you just have to be like overweight. Like
yeah, maybe that's it.
Like I like my potato chips, and then so now I get to get vaccinated, and I'm gonna go work out and get back to being buff. Right, but then when the vaccination thing starts, got to get a little chunky again. But no. I mean, all joking aside, but like I said, it's not just old people. Okay, here's the biggest problem. Here's the biggest problem with this thing, and I was being facetious when I asked you because I knew you don't have a good reason, right?
Yeah, there's no.
But the reality is, you're dealing with people who are like good because they don't believe this is a real thing, or they think it's just a flu, or it'll just go away. They still repeat the same fucking bullshit that Trump pushed back in February of 2020.
Well, so we were
not dealing with rational thinking people.
No. And here's the thing, is like I keep hearing Well, that's a good thing. We need to get back to business. And I see that on Facebook. And I hear people saying it like in lines and stuff. About time we got rid of this mask mandate. We need to get back to business. Have you encountered any impediment to business whatsoever?
No, I bought tons of things. I've gone to stores and bought tons of things, and like,
well, even if you wanted
with
to
the
do
mask
something,
on.
yeah, even if you wanted to do something foolish, like go sit down and eat dinner at an Applebee's, you could still do it. You
Yeah,
can
it
do
was
it
always
now.
there. Now
You
that's
could
the
always
thing.
do it.
Dude, the restaurants were open for you to go there. Now there were some restaurants that were like, they're not going to. Well, guess what? They're still not going to. Just
Yeah.
because Abbott said that, there's going to be businesses, and all this does is hurt business. What Abbott did was anti-small business, actually, too, because all this does now is it puts business owners in weird predicaments now, where they're going to have to put signs up and kick people out, or try to kick people out, because they're going to, and people are going to be like, well, Abbott said I don't have to wear a mask. Yeah. I'm just doing what the law says. And you got to deal with all these fucking Karens. Those are Karens. And I feel bad for them. They're being put in predicaments and everything. And some of them are just going to feel bullied into letting these assholes in, because they're going to realize they have no protection. There's no mandate to block them. So all he did was harm and hurt people. That's all this motherfucker did. There's no good reason. And like I said, there's no rational decision, because you're dealing with people. The argument is it doesn't exist. Okay, if it didn't exist, then why do we have it? Why did Abbott, if it didn't exist, why are ICU beds filled with it? What? Oh, they're just labeling COVID patients. They're just labeling as COVID patients. Well, why the hospital's filled up with more people than ever? Like,
yeah,
I mean, that seems like a problem, regardless if it's COVID or if there's just something else going on.
I guess my theory is that I hate it mostly because I feel like that Abbott just threw a little temper tantrum and got his way, and then that's a stupid thing for me to be pissed off about. But
I think he just doesn't. He's jumping in early so that he can't get primaried.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of Republicans that were pissed off at him. The fact, I will give Abbott this. I am shocked to this day that he actually put a mask mandate in.
True. Yeah.
I will give him that. I think he's a total piece of garbage, but he did put a mask mandate in, and that makes him a much better person than fucking Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, that's true.
And the fucking governor of Oklahoma. Like, fuck that guy too. Like, I will give him that. But right now, what he's doing, he's a piece of shit. There's no good reason. Now, if he said like, and it's so like duplicitous, because he knows he's doing it right before spring break.
Oh yeah.
And you're gonna see the numbers are gonna go so fucking high now. Yeah. It's like, I love it. I get called like so I posted a thing on my Instagram. I have this artwork I did. It's called Mask It or Casket. It's like
right.
The fucking Grim Reaper, and he's wearing a mask, and it says Mask It or Casket, and there's a tombstone in the background that says refused to wear a mask, and now they're dead. Pretty blunt.
Sure.
I got inundated with so many fucking assholes who they're anti-vaxxers. They are they don't believe it's real. They don't. Yeah. Now some of these accounts I'm like really curious, because let me tell you, a large amount of them are private accounts.
Okay.
And like one of the accounts, no joke, was in Russian. But it's like they're just saying the same shit. And I'm like, I find myself getting sucked into this argument. And it's like it's the same type of people that dealt with like the Trump art and everything. And they're just like, they're calling me a sheep, which is hysterical. It's like, dude, if I'm a sheep, you're a fucking lemming. Right. And you're being led off a cliff. So at least I'll get to go ba-ba out in the field while you go fucking jump off a cliff. So yeah, I'll gladly be a sheep over a fucking lemming.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And because I'll get to be alive. Ooh, unless they try making me into lamb chops.
Right.
Because I am a little juicier since I did qualify for the COVID shot.
Well.
Oh, I'm fucked. Either way, I guess. Man. Someone had the nerve to call me a Karen, which I thought was really bizarre. All right. I'm being called a Karen because this is all I wrote. It said, after being fully vaccinated, I was hoping things would get better, but then Governor Greg Abbott decided to open the state back to 100% and remove the mask mandate. Texas is barely over 6% vaccinated, 45th place in the country. Why would he do this now, especially with the new, even more deadlier variant strains? First, he let the state freeze, and now this. Respect your fellow person and wear a mask. That's all I wrote.
Yeah,
I'm being,
easy enough.
People are calling me a fucking Karen, which I'm like, okay, you refusing to wear a mask and helping people and denying all stuff, you are the literal definition of a fucking Karen. Right. Like, I am asking people to be a better person. You are demanding selfishness. That is like, go ahead.
No, it is. The whole idea of like what's a Karen and what's not has really gotten kind of turned around, best I can tell. We
were talking about this before. You said like on TikTok there were like kids where they were like harassing
I saw this one. This is like a 19-20-year-old kid skateboarding, and he skated onto a public school and was doing like, little ollies or whatever on this front part of the school. And I think it was the principal or some older woman came out and yelled at him and told him to get off the campus. And the kids started screaming at her, like comically screaming at her, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers or something. And all the comments were like, he really gave that Karen what for or whatever, And it was like, no, that woman is like, she's just trying to do her job. She's like,
and it's like, no, you are a Karen.
Yeah,
the person doing that is a Karen, because Karens usually go into businesses, they harass the employee, they make their job harder, they want a manager, they usually try to get like minorities arrested, if not killed. Like the definite Karen, that's what Karens came from, and that's what they will always be.
Yeah.
You calling it is fucking stupid.
Well, there's a bunch of videos like that where a kid would not wear a mask, go into a Walmart and say, I'm going to provoke these Karens. And then like someone would come over and say, hey, could you put on a mask? And the kid's like, fuck you, Karen. And all the, ton of comments like, yeah, you really showed that Karen what for. Like, I don't know. I mean, Karen seems to have morphed into shorthand for a person trying to
make me do something I don't want them to do.
Yeah, and I guess like when I thought of Karens, I thought of like people using rules to kind of leverage their white privilege or something.
Like Elon Musk is a fucking Karen.
Yeah,
He's a space Karen. Remember the pictures of him?
Yeah,
he's a space Karen. They put the Kate hair on him.
Right.
Fucking Joe Rogan's a fucking Karen when he was talking about not getting the vaccine and wearing a mask. Like, dude, you're a fucking Karen. Like. These people, it's like remember when like boomer was like got popular to say, and it made sense. It was like aimed specifically at what that was supposed to be. But then people started calling everyone boomers, and it was like everything I don't like is a boomer now. And it's like, no, that's not what a boomer is literally aimed at like 60 and plus who are out of touch and don't like say dumb shit like go save your money and don't eat avocado toast. Like that's a boomer, like it like totally ruins what the meaning of the words are. And I think I don't think it's right to let these morons take that word, Karen. I think like it's
sadly, I mean, nobody has any control over it. I mean, people.
Well, I mean, we can't fully control that, but But then I get these idiots who are like, oh, do you have a pre-existing? Oh, well, you know what? I think all the people who are sick should just stay home. And I'm like, you realize that like this virus doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
You can be fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger in his early 20s, or you could be Ronnie Dangerfield before he died. Well, maybe not. Well, let's say Ronnie Dangerfield in Back to School.
Right? Yeah. Well, it affects people differently. Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger could drop dead from it, and Ronnie Dangerfield could fully recover.
Yeah.
Even though he can't because he's dead. But that's a different story. But like, I was just trying to make an example. It's like Dr. Fauci said, oh no, I brought up Fauci. I always love, always like when they make that argument, like, well, Fauci said you need to wear masks back in March. Like, or February, March last year. It's like, you just keep holding on to that. Like,
that was like after he had like a day or two to study it. Like,
well, it was also to make sure that like scumbags didn't hoard masks and make sure and sell them on Amazon and eBay so hospitals can have the masks and then make sure that people could get masks after that. It was like, that was literally the main reason why I did it. And these right wingers always hold on to it.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's like, wait, I always love that. They'll claim they trust the science and that you're not listening, you're the sheep, you're listening to this, and this. But you guys hold on to this one moment of time with Dr. Fauci talking about that you don't need to wear a mask.
Yeah.
When
so bizarre.
It just fits into their thinking, you know. It's like
True.
You're not dealing with rational people at this point. I mean, they don't believe it exists. Masks don't work. It's like, no, they do if everyone's wearing them. It's like, that's how it works. It's like, it's literally, if everyone in the room is together, I don't recommend it, but if everyone's forced to be in a room together, but everyone's wearing a mask, the chance of people getting COVID is, and I would say not those bullshit, what do they call those things?
Gators or something.
Oh, those are garbage. You're better off not even wearing a mask. I heard like those are like pure shit. I mean, I'm happy to see anyone wearing anything.
Sure.
Like, of course, the worst thing I ever saw was this. I think I showed you a picture. I saw this in the store and I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I was like, looking at it, I'm like, what the fuck is this person wearing? And it just looked like an upside down, like, tennis visor.
Huh.
And I'm like, how is this protecting you or anyone? If anything, your spit is just gonna fly up in the air. Like
Evil Knievel its way on over to
like it's gonna go through a fucking circle of flames into your fucking mouth. Like, I don't even understand that thing. I'm like,
yeah, that's weird.
You're wearing that? Like, did you see those douchebags that were like in some state legislator? There were these like GOP assholes that were literally wearing like masks, but holes were cut out.
I have not seen that, but I've seen people do that.
And I'm just like, fuck you, dude. You are just like a shitbag. And the thing is, we never had Biden's only been president for like a month. He's been telling people from day one wear masks. But again, we talked about this before the podcast. When you said about how you're mad that when I was telling you like how we shouldn't even have to get vaccinated, not because you don't believe in them, but because Trump intentionally fucked this up so much and let this blow up and make this into a cultural divide where I have to fight with morons online. Then we are in a situation where we're all lining up at the fucking motor speedway to get
it didn't have to happen
needles
this way.
Put in our arm in a car. I'm like, this is a nightmare. This should not have had to happen. I mean, yes, should we have gotten the vaccine even way? Yes, I think so. I would like not to get this virus. I would, but I would also like it to not be to the point where it's detrimental to get it.
Yeah.
Because it never blew up here. It's like New Zealand. Did they have to get vaccinated?
I don't know. Did they? I mean,
well, they didn't have to because it didn't exist yet, and they had the country opened up because they were able to control it.
Well, that was not the case here.
I mean, that's the problem. It's like people. It's like a year later, and it's like I feel like I'm arguing. It feels like 2003, and I'm arguing with the same morons who still believe that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. It's the same people. They are always the same people. It's like the same reactionary bullshit. They fall for whatever Republican nonsense. And I'm always like, really? And it's like Greg Abbott has no good reason, but there's a large portion of his voting base that is doing a dance. They're holding parties right now.
100%. Sure.
And I get some of these morons who will leave things like, I had people who died of it or anything, but I think you should still be able to go out. I'm like,
yeah, well,
it's like, I want to go out. I still want to do things.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But let's wear masks. Let's do this right.
Well, and we only theoretically should have to hold on for a little while longer before we legitimately start opening up and everything. But
this is he's jumping the gun and creating a hotbed scenario where we're going to reach we can reach another nightmare scenario where the hospitals are going to be completely full.
Yep.
And Greg Abbott, come like October this year, will have to be like, I had to put a mask mandate in again.
Yeah.
But now he'll piss off his base even more than ever. Or he's a piece of shit and he'll just let the entire state die. Because they'll look up and they'll do a study and be like, well, actually, the people that are dying are people that don't vote.
Yeah.
Now, you know that's true.
Yeah, that is true.
You know, he's probably like, oh, shit, the state's becoming more Democrat. I guess I better find a way to kill more Democrats.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can see that. It is, and this may be like a kind of a good transition piece. A lot of this was happening kind of in the aftermath of that CPAC thing that also had some mask-related drama. The CPAC people came out and said, you know, we're in a hotel, there's a lot of other people here, let's wear our mask. And the GOP wasn't having any of that. You know, they started shouting freedom and.
It's like, I love how these people who are supposed to be the stewards of the free market of capitalism.
Right.
They believe that, but they never respect. They owe anytime a business or anytime it makes a decision, it says like, listen, we're doing this. They act like they're losing their freedoms. And it's like, no, they are literally these businesses set up by the standard of your ideology and your like economic plan and structure have the right to tell people they have to wear a mask when they're in a store, they have to do this, or they don't have to make a cake for a gay couple. Like, you created this, and they get so mad when it gets turned against them in any way whatsoever.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're crying about freedom, and it's like when they get mad about Twitter. It's like, well, how come I can't say like the K and N word and C and S word and all the other fun stuff? And it's like, because it's a private company and you literally
signed terms of service.
What is it called? Terms of service.
Terms of service, yeah.
And you are breaking it when you do that. Yeah. They have this thing where you can't target and harass people. It's kind of you can't do it.
Well, a company can't tolerate that, because then the person getting bullied and harassed is liable to sue that company, you know. But it was weird to see CPAC. None of them wanted to wear masks, very few masks.
Gee, I'm shocked. Why would these people be mad to wear masks? I mean, they seem like they were always, oh wait, those are all the psychopaths that are dancing happily that Greg Abbott's getting rid of the mask mandate.
It was crazy. I watched a little of the thing over the weekend. I saw them wheel the big golden Trump Frisch's big boy out.
Yeah, it's like the ugliest, weirdest thing ever.
So weird, and he's holding, I don't even understand magic wand and stuff. I mean,
is it really meant to celebrate him? I mean, like, I made a golden calf drawing like 3 or 4 years ago for like some art show, and I drew Trump on like recreating from the Ten Commandments movie, the golden calf they'll worship.
Okay.
It's on a pedestal, but like it's a golden calf Trump, but it's just him painted in gold. He's not a statue, and he's sitting there eating like KFC and burgers and all that shit. And it was like, but they literally unironically made a golden calf of him. And I'm like, mine was like a joke, because I was like reflecting on how the Republicans treat him. You went ahead and
no, they made a legitimate golden icon of Trump. Just bizarre. And the CPAC, I don't know if you caught any of it, but it was just a weird, bizarre litany
it's a freak show. Ted Cruz came out, gave a speech about like freedom. Yeah, that was weird. Donald Trump Jr. made this like really bad speech, and then everyone was like scared of like Trump's speech. Like, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? And it ended up just being nothing. What was it? It was just like him like complaining about the election, complaining about. He complained about trans athletes, which I'm like, he doesn't know dick about that. Get the fuck out of here.
It was just bizarre. It was a series of like non-pressing complaints about random shit. All the announcers were saying how low energy it was, and I don't know, it just did not seem to me like the speaking of a man about to embark on a movement. You know, I mean,
well, they thought he was going to announce a run for presidency, but
right.
then he kind of, I wouldn't even say he used the words to imply it. I think he just said they'll go after he's going to go after the Republicans that, had him try to get him removed or impeached. And it wasn't like anything like, and then like exploring, but it didn't sound, nothing that would lead. Politicians usually do a pretty good job of like announcing a run without announcing it.
Yeah.
They make it very obvious. Like they don't have to say it, but we all know, and they have like an exploratory committee. There's nothing here. I think he's still like, he's probably got like so many like court cases waiting him. There's harassment. Like this guy, who knows? There could be nothing that can happen to him, but maybe just the idea of like that he's completely vulnerable to now all these charges that he was basically invulnerable to when he was president are now there to get him. I honestly don't think he's gonna. I can't see him running for president. I think
that's a lot of energy. It takes a lot of time and energy to run for president.
I'm sorry, he does not look. He is old.
No, he looks old and run down.
I'm telling everybody, watch him coming down the escalator in 2015 and watch him at CPAC. And you tell me that you can't see that he looks older, you're either fucking blind, you're denying it, or you can't tell that he just has a bunch of makeup caked onto him.
Right, yeah.
Like the way he's postured, the way he stands, he's tired. He's old, he's weak, he's flaccid, like just the whole body is flaccid.
Right, yeah, soft.
It's just like he is like a wet puppet from a horror movie from the 80s. Like mushy silicone foam covering a glaze.
Well, yeah. Did you see Kimberly? How do you say her name? Guilfoyle or
she's the best. I love her.
Yeah, she came out and did like a dance routine at CPAC.
I think if the GOP was smart, they would run her.
Yeah,
I think it's like she opens up for Donald Trump Jr. and the audience loves her. They didn't give a fuck about Donald Trump Jr. They need to flip that. I think she's a horrendous human.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I will gladly watch her talk over Donald Trump Jr. Donald Trump Jr. has no, like, there's nothing he says that, like, and no one gives a shit. No one in the audience reacted to him.
No, Donald Trump Jr. is like Draco Malfoy's sidekick in those Harry Potter movies.
The losers that, like, like, he's nothing. Like, send her out. She's a star.
Yeah, she is. You know, it's weird. The GOP does have, I mean, aside from like the bubble-headed apparatus of like blonde, interchangeable Fox newscasters, the GOP does have like 4 or 5 women now that are pretty interesting. Horrible people, but like interesting.
Like who? Besides
Boebert is interesting and horrible.
No. Boebert has no abilities whatsoever.
She's interesting because she gets on camera and she just spouts nonsense. Like literally.
She's no Marjorie Taylor Greene.
No, well,
Marjorie Taylor Greene is
that was another one I was going to mention.
Expert buffoon. Boebert is B-level Marjorie Taylor Greene.
But Marjorie Taylor Greene looks like every once in a while, like you'll see a little kid like completely fuck shit up and just beam with happiness. You know, like so proud of themselves for like dumping their cereal bowl on their head or something. And that's what Marjorie Taylor Greene is.
Did you see that picture I found? It's like such a boomer.
Yeah,
but it's Honey Boo Boo with Donald Trump as Mama June and her as Honey Boo Boo. And
that look on her face is perfect because she looks so proud of.
She has such a big head for a woman anyway, so it works perfectly on the little kid body. I just thought it was her. But again, I don't think they hold a candle to Kimberly Guilfoyle. What other woman from the Republicans that you think like could be like meaningful. I don't even mean. Okay, so I don't think those two have no ability to ever be like run for president.
Okay, well then my other two do, and I think they're also horrible people. But Nikki Haley and that Kristi Noem are both interesting. They appear smart. They are willing to shift their positions immediately. They seem interesting. Like, oh, these are people like that I could see engaging on a national level.
I can see what you mean by that, and that's the big thing is that Marjorie Taylor Greene and Boebert do not have the ability to shift positions in any way.
No, they're one.
I've seen Haley shift her positions on many things. Like she can easily, she's a total piece of shit politician.
If you see, like, I could read a tweet by Nikki Haley and be like, oh, wow, yeah, no, I kind of agree with that. And then the next 10 tweets are like,
I want to know which one you agree with.
Well, when she came out and said Trump has gone too far, he doesn't speak, but then immediately later, she's like, having a tweet praising Trump. So like,
yeah, of course. It's
but that's what I mean. It's like she will. Same with Kristi Noem. She looks, like, wow, that's like, my mom's, my friend's mom or something. She looks like, like that's a approachable kind of common sense person. She'll like throw out some common sense things, but then she'll also like get, a significant majority of her population infected with COVID.
Yeah, those people are way worse than the Boeberts and the Marjorie Taylor Greenes, because you know what you're getting with those morons. They're literally walking, talking QAnon flags. It's like you can't sell them to a mainstream audience. It's the ones the Republicans that you can sell to a mainstream audience.
Right.
Those are the real problems, because like I said, it's like I know people thinking like they're going to run another fascist or an outright fascist piece of shit like Trump again. I don't believe that. They're going to run a nice guy fascist like Sassy or Romney. That's who they're going to run. They're not going to run. They're going to
Hawley or
Nikki Haley or Nikki Haley. They're going to run someone that can distance themselves from the failures of COVID, which Haley can.
That's important.
Not in power. She can claim no connection to it. She was already gone from the Trump administration at that point.
Yeah.
Noem, I don't think she can.
No, not COVID.
She's fucked. But Haley could come along, especially if Biden does. Let's say Biden fails and doesn't do that.
Right.
On these things, a person like Haley can come in, try to make claims, because she cannot be pinpointed, and no one can say, oh, well, you like opened your state too early, COVID was out of control. She can say, when she can make a claim and go, well, when there was that shooting in South Carolina or something, I was the one who took down the Confederate flag from the building.
Yeah.
She did. I mean, she was pressured to do it, but she did it. And I'll tell you this though, I don't think any GOP now would do it. They wouldn't do it now.
No, not now.
But years ago, she did, but she can own that. So when she tries to run as like a moderate Republican, she can say that and try to distance herself from she could do the dog whistles, but then say like, I don't agree with these extremists, but then bring it back to like Antifa or BLM or something.
Well,
but she can get away with it more.
That's the other thing that kind of CPAC revealed, is that the Republicans are drifting further towards Trump. I'll bet you're right. Like 5-6 years ago, Republican governors could have easily gotten rid of Confederate monuments, but I don't think so much anymore. I think nowadays, with Trump's hold on the party, you have to go full tilt to the right, and I don't see Republican politicians being able to make those stands anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so weird because again, it's like Republican. It's like, okay, when in history of politics have you seen a president lose barely win his election to begin with, wins by literally because of all the rules that should be removed, loses the House and a lot of the governorships 2 years later, loses the presidency after one term, plus the majority control of the Senate.
Yeah.
And the party is still, so it just shows you how pathetic they are, how out of touch they are. Because it's like, and also, and then maybe this could lead to this, because I really don't have anything else to say about CPAC,
Yeah.
except it's a huge freak show. Is without voter suppression,
Yeah.
they are nothing. They are jumping onto the Trump train still because they have one, they can't come up with another thing. Their ideology does not allow them to evolve and to be better. Their whole ideology is to own the libs.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, that's literally it.
And that is a good transition, because that's a lot of what the GOP is focused on now, is voter suppression. And it used to be that you didn't need to, because, you know, persons of color couldn't vote or women couldn't vote. But gradually over the years, these equal rights have kind of asserted themselves, or people fought and died for them. The only way the Republicans can hold on to power is to have people not vote. You know, I mean, the more people that vote, the more these progressive policies get favored. It is weird. Like, I saw tonight, before we started recording, the House passed some sort of voter right bill, and that's supposed to preempt these state laws. But man, Republican legislatures everywhere are fighting for people not to be able to vote. It's really crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most insane thing is, like, okay, well, we don't own it, we don't control any of the houses, and we don't have the presidency. What do we do, guys? I don't know. Let's try to suppress the vote.
Yeah.
That's the only way we're going to win 2022 is if we suppress as much vote as possible.
I'll tell you, if you look year after year after year after year, a lot of the bedrock foundations of the Republican Party are being shattered. We talked about how they used to be able to successfully get people to turn against gays and lesbians and transgendered persons and whatnot, and they can't do that anymore, because now the clear majority of people has no problem with that, you know. And it used to be that they could pit, you know, white people against black people, but that's getting more and more difficult with younger people, you know, because younger people they've kind of moved beyond that construct, you know. So every day, more and more people are of age to vote, and they're overwhelmingly progressive. And that trend is accelerating. It's not slowing down, or it's not 50-50. In 20 years, it's going to be so clearly a progressive majority, right?
I mean, that's where it's going. I mean, that's what I feel like what Abbott is doing in Texas is he knows that it is trending Democrat Texas. Yeah. It's trending blue. It just is. And if someone like Beto can come along and run for governor, which he is tiptoeing in, it's obvious we know he has plans to run or do something political because he's doing stuff. He's currently doing things. Now, Trump is a different story because Trump is a billionaire douchebag asshole. He may not have been a billionaire before he was president. You know, they said that he really wasn't one. But guess what? He is now. They found out. And I guarantee you he made way more than that, but supposedly he made over $1.6 billion while he was president.
Yeah.
But so Beto's coming along and Abbott's freaking out. So of course it's like, well, I don't know what we'll do. I know how to suppress the vote. I'll just get people killed.
Well, there's a lot of different ways to suppress the vote. You know, some of it's pretty.
Murdering people with a deadly pandemic is definitely one.
Some of it doesn't necessarily seem like, oh, well, that's what they're doing. But like Louis DeJoy is still Postmaster General, you know, and the mail is still
gone. Until he's gone. I will say though, what was it, like Georgia or something? The state they were trying to state legislators trying to remove Sunday voting or something. Yep. Like they're finding all kinds of ways, and it's like, again, just like Abbott taking the mask mandate. Or DeJoy destroying machines, not personally, but having him do it. It's not like he sent me there myself. They don't call me the sledgehammer for nothing. They never called him that. They're gonna find ways to, what good reason are you doing this? Yeah. what reason? We know what it is. You don't want people to vote because those people will probably not vote for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's the HR1? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
What's that stand for?
Well, I think that would be.
And the Republicans are freaking out over it.
House Resolution 1. And I believe it's a voter protection act. It's Stacey Abrams earlier said voters in Georgia and across the country have suffered from state-sponsored voter suppression for too long. With tonight's passage of HR1, we will be closer to ensuring our elections will be fair and free, no matter your skin color or zip code. And that's actually the resolution that Mike Pence penned op-ed against.
Well, before you get to that, Matt Gaetz said on the floor of Congress that the Republicans, if this gets passed, the Republicans will never win an election again.
Oh, man.
Matt Gaetz, why is that?
Yeah, right?
What do you like? That's probably the most honest thing Matt Gaetz ever said.
Yeah.
Now, when they say, and they say to this day, and this could lead right to what you're talking about with Pence, but like that the Republicans still will not come out and admit, except for a handful of them, will admit that Donald Trump lost. They're still saying that it was stolen. They won't admit to it that Trump lost the election.
No.
And what's this thing tomorrow that's supposed to happen?
Oh, yeah, March 4th. That's Donald Trump's supposed to come back as 19th president of the U.S.
It's weird. Joseph Biden's the 46th president.
No, according to these QAnon weirdos, it's like a big deal.
By you say QAnon weirdos, you mean the GOP?
Yeah, well, yeah, QAnon death cult. Yeah, they believe it. Well, that'll be. I'm kind of curious to see how that plans out.
That's why all the Republicans, there was like Rick Scott and all them were like, "Can you remove the gates or something?" Like,
right? They wanted to get rid of the National Guard and the gates and the fences and all that.
So, like after tomorrow, when nothing happens except for maybe some idiots will cause a ruckus, or who knows, they'll probably don't expect it will not be like it was Capitol, because guess what? Joe Biden is the general, what do they call it? The general chief or whatever?
The commander-in-chief.
Commander-in-chief. And they control basically the army in D.C. That's why the whole thing about D.C. statehood. The mayor would be able to control the police the governor of D.C. would be able to control the police if it had statehood. And was able to operate on some, and you would never have seen anything like that happen because it would have been controlled immediately.
Right.
I hope for the worst for them. For the magic.
Well, I think that's going to be the next battle. We saw what Stacey Abrams built, kind of a voter turnout, voter rights organization or machine in Georgia. It paid great dividends. We got 2 senators in Georgia.
Don't got the stimulus check, but that's a different.
That's a different story. But like
Joe Manchin, we could thank him.
Yeah. Well, the fight for voter, that's a fight to fight. You know, they should every step of the way fight that fight. Get people to be able to vote. Well, if you let if you get a lot of people to vote, progressive policies will come. Will come.
Yeah, it's inevitable, and they know it.
Yeah.
And then you won't have to worry about your Joe Manchins anymore because they'll become irrelevant, or they'll be forced to become more progressive.
Right.
If they're part of the more progressive party. There was something I was going to say. Oh, that was it. Before you get to the thing about it. So let's say March 4th doesn't happen. Like, this is all a grift, right? This is all part of the QAnon grift, part of the Trump brand. So, like, the joke was they said that the CPAC was just one big Trump convention. It's all these morons just trying to unload all their overstock of Trump 2020. It's like, we need to get rid of this shit. And they said it was literally like, even though it was supposed to be the CPAC, you would think it was a Trump convention. It really should just be called Trump PAC at this point. But it's always, they're just trying to get rid of all their MAGA crap. And I think that's all this is. It's just continuing the grift. Or like what cults do when they pick a day and the world's going to end, but then they'll come out and the world's going to end, they'll be like, well, actually, it's not supposed to end till like October of 2032.
Yeah.
And then they keep pushing it back. There was a thing called like family I forgot when I was living in Chico, so all these billboards about how the world was going to end. I was like, what the fuck is this? And it was this old rich asshole, religious guy. I think he runs like family radio or whatever. And he predicted the world was going to end. And this was like in 2012 or 2011. And supposedly he predicted the world was going to end in 1995 or something.
Yep.
And
yeah, makes sense.
And there was all these people who like, it was again, just it's a huge grift to get all these morons. One of the most fucked up things of that day, though, I guess, well, maybe the world did end. That's why we're living like in a hell world right now. But one of the best things was there was this guy, and you feel almost bad for him. He was like in the streets. I don't know if like New York, San Francisco, I don't remember, but like, and he had like, the world's gonna end, and people were going up to him, and supposedly this guy like he had a couple $100,000 or whatever, and he just like spent all his money on like promoting this and everything, and people are like, you're still here, man. We're still here. Like, and the guy didn't know how to react. Like, it's so sad. And it's like, people are just going like, yeah, man, like, we're still here, dude. Like,
what do you, I mean,
And it's so weird. It's like, you want to feel bad for this guy because you know there's something wrong with him. But at the same time, it's like he's pushing this horrendous thing. So you, like, of course, I don't want the world to end. Like, I'm not rooting for this guy to succeed. But it is kind of cruel to like, say these things when you think about it. At the same time, it is very funny.
It's hilarious.
It is hilarious.
Yeah.
And I had like, you could probably look it up. It's definitely on YouTube that the guy, like, people going to like, we're still here, man. You didn't disappear. And you could just see him. He's so sad. He really thought that, I don't know where he thought he was going, but it wasn't the sidewalks of the city he was standing on.
I tend to agree with you that nothing will really happen tomorrow. I mean, we may see some stuff, but it won't matter because on March 5th, these QAnon death cultists will wake up and say, well, Trump didn't become president. Everything went exactly according to plan. The real plan, right. Yeah, the real plan was to say that so the liberals would keep their guard up for that day. Meanwhile, we would be doing, launching the dankest of memes under cover of the night, where they're all distracted. And I mean,
cover of the night.
Yeah, they you can't, in their heads, they can't lose. No matter what happens as part of the
you got to continue the grift again. It's like, like I said, like, as much as like, one, besides the fact that he didn't want to lose the election and the fact that he needed to stay in power so that he would never face charges that he could face now. The main thing was, I still believe the main reason why he would not give up and say that it was stolen was because it would devalue the MAGA brand. Because it's over. It's like, it's like the losing. No one wants to buy the losing jersey of the the NBA championship, the Super Bowl. Like, no, those shirts usually get destroyed or sent to like poor countries or just worn as a joke by some people. And like, but not him. He made losing winning. Like, these people, like they believe that this is all not real. It's like they said, it's like the same people who are happy that Abbott got rid of the mask mandate because COVID never exists.
They think they're living in a movie, and they'll use that analogy a lot too. Like, just sit back and enjoy the show. This isn't real. It's a movie. And
it's a simulation, man.
Yeah.
Like,
do the research.
Do the research, bro. They did it in the Matrix.
It's scary as hell. Yeah. I don't know. Well,
okay, so what about Mike Pence?
Well, Mike Pence penned an op-ed
today
that supported this notion that, there's rampant voter fraud. We need to crack down and make it more difficult to vote and everything.
What was the op-ed in?
I want to say it was in the Wall Street Journal, which would make sense.
I was going to say the Mooney Times or something.
Yeah, right.
Washington Times.
Let's see. What did he write this in? I don't know where he wrote it in. I see a bunch of headlines regarding Mike Pence. I'm going to say it was the Wall Street Journal. I don't know that, but that's just that. I think that is correct. I don't know. Mike Pence, he's another weird one. He's kind of like Nikki Haley, where he wants it both ways. Oh, it was the Daily Signal. I'm sorry, it was not the Wall Street Journal. It was the Daily Signal, which I seem to have some recollection of what that is, but I'm sure it's like a weird combination of Gab and Parler or something. Well, yeah. So I don't know where Mike Pence is going to go with all this, because a lot of Trump fans were threatening to hang him, but yeah.
Okay, so wait, his op-ed was talking about voter fraud, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
But it's like, this guy is such a weasel, because it's like he has no. It's like the same thing. It's like, oh, how could Ted Cruz's wife still be married to him? Because these people don't give a shit. They see the bigger picture. They want power. You know, you could say the same thing about like when Hillary Clinton divorced Bill Clinton after all those affairs.
Yeah.
Because she needed his name to like be viable as like a candidate. I'm sorry, but like, what's her real last name? Rodham or something?
Rodham, yeah.
Yeah, people would be like, who? You know? It's like there's a reason why Dwayne Johnson used the name The Rock for like the first 15 years of his acting career.
True.
And now it could be Dwayne Johnson, because everyone knows him as Dwayne Johnson now, The Rock, still. But
right.
And I know but no, there's a lot of truth to that. But like, why would Mike Pence still? It's like he's a fucking weasel. He's a shit weasel. Like, wouldn't you want to distance yourself from Trump? Wouldn't you want to like?
Oh God, yeah.
Distance yourself from the propaganda that almost led to you being hung by a bunch of lunatics.
Yeah, but it was easy to lose track of how shitty Mike Pence was, but Mike Pence is super shitty. He just looked halfway less shitty because Trump was so comically horrible.
Well, he could speak better. That's it.
Yeah.
It's like when people watched like the debate on with Kamala Harris, and everyone was like, we'll see where he really stands. And he was full in on the Trump thing because he is the Trump thing.
Yeah.
He can communicate it better because he's one, his brain isn't made out of Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
He doesn't have syphilis that eroded his brain like Trump has.
Right.
And he could speak. And it makes him more deadly. Rhetoric is very powerful. Well, it could get people to do things that they never thought they would.
Yeah.
Like buy digital non-fungible tokens for thousands of dollars. It's amazing what rhetoric can do. And anyone that tells you that it doesn't mean anything is using rhetoric.
Yeah,
they're lying.
Well, I guess this is a good place to kind of go into our last item, which was cancel culture.
Before you do that, where do you think this is leading? Like, do you think he plans on running for president? Do you think he's just bitching, or do you think he's just bitching?
I can see Pence trying to run for president, although he'd have to answer for a lot. It would depend, because he would need Trump's blessing, and
there's no way he could run if Trump's running at the same time.
No, but
that'd be really funny.
He would need Trump's blessing to run. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, does he if Trump's not running?
Yeah, because I can see them. He'd have to still get through the primary. You know, whoever Trump taps is going to be the favorite in the primary.
I just don't think he'll ever tap anybody. I think it's too egotistical, too self-centered, narcissistic. The only one that I could ever see him doing as his daughter.
I was gonna say I could see him tapping Ivanka all night long.
Oh, he'd love to tap her.
He has said on occasion.
What do you mean by that? Because I'm just talking about him, promoting her as president.
Yes, that's exactly
the first female president. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, yeah.
I would assume that's what you meant.
Right. It is.
Yeah. Trump wants to fuck this shit.
Yeah, it's so weird.
What did you say?
I
want to bang the crap out of my daughter. I'm Donald Trump, and I endorse my daughter.
This would be a good place to talk about our last item, which is cancel culture.
Speaking of cancel culture, would you say Greg Abbott getting rid of the mask mandate would be considered an act of cancel culture?
Trying to cancel Texas. Yeah. We've talked about cancel culture a whole lot, me and you. And it's a weird one because I believe cancel culture is a thing, but I believe it's a pretty healthy thing, you know? And I think that Republicans squeal cancel culture when people tell them that they don't want to hear their nonsense anymore, you know? I mean,
well, they just scream cancel culture on any. I mean, again, we did a podcast about this. You can listen to this episode. It's on our. We already download podcasts. Our channel, I guess, or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
It was done back late last year.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
It's evolved since then.
Yep.
So some out of date stuff. I think we talked about such trending topics like Barry Weiss.
Yeah.
she always weasels her way in, but like cancel culture is just what what's his face, Rotten Hell, Rush Limbaugh would say. PC culture. It's the same. They use it as the same way. They're just now, instead of saying it's PC culture, that stopped me from saying it. Now they use it. Cancel culture sounds more deadlier. And it's this more rampant thing, like they are literally canceling you and your way of life and your American freedom.
It's weird. Like they
penis.
They have no problem canceling people. Obviously, they cancel.
They literally cancel people all the time. Like I said, we talked about this last week at CPAC, how the whole show was called about like uncanceling America and how cancel culture is bad, and they literally canceled one of the biggest speakers at the show.
Right.
He said some things that they usually. He said some of the quiet stuff a little out loud, and
well, they cancel like if they don't like when Coke said, you know, hey, maybe we're going to have diversity training. They wanted to cancel Coke. When when some football players said that they wanted to protest. You know, by not standing for the anthem, they wanted to cancel those football players. They like do a lot of canceling themselves, but then all of a sudden, like someone says to them, well, like, hey, you know, I don't like it when you use racial slurs. Then they're all like, oh, my free speech, I'm being canceled. I mean, it's real cynical.
Well, now they're jumping on these things where they're taking stories that come out and they're blowing out really far out of proportion and making them into complete nonsense and lying about what the real thing is about. One of them was Mr. Potato Head, which was really stupid. Mr. Potato Head is a character that you just put pieces on. It is a plastic potato. They used to actually use a real potato, which just sounds
sweet.
That sounds disgusting when you think about it. Like,
that's true.
Comes out, it's like dirt, potato dirt, and like probably smell after a while. It's like, kid, why you're missing potato? Like Timmy, 1950s Timmy, you've had that thing for 3 months. It is literally a vein, like vines and shit, maggots eating it. It's like throw Miss Potato Hat. So they replaced him with a plastic thing. Sure. But again, it's like Mr. Potato. It's like the Republicans. I saw like so many clips from like Fox News and stuff of them like where they're like self-reflecting and trying to understand about Mr. Potato Head, and they're like, well, he is technically genderless.
Yeah.
He has no gender it has no gender. Because it literally is a potato that you put pieces on, and you can literally put any piece you want. You can put Miss Potato's lips on and put Mr. Potato Head's mustache on, and guess what? It doesn't matter. Do whatever the fuck you want with it. And the right wing started to realize that. They were like talking and they were like self-owning themselves. They got really mad that Hasbro came out and said that we're going to change the name. We're going to change the name of Mr. Potato Head to Potato Heads.
Yep.
And they freaked the fuck out and said they're taking away your Mr. Potato Head. I'm like, my Mr. Potato Head. I'm like, first of all, I don't even know if I ever owned an actual potato head. I know I bought it for my son. He's like, I remember the day with the real potato.
Right, with his big potato schlong. I mean, that was
that big old beefy potato dick.
It was a steak fry.
Yeah, it was some reason it was veiny too. I don't know, and it oozed ranch dressing.
Well, it is weird. I saw some guy on Twitter today talking about how he went out and he bought thing of the Aunt Jemima syrup.
Oh, hold on, before we get to that. The potato head thing was like they were all freaking the fuck out They're saying that they're getting rid of it. What? Oh, Mr. Potato Head's going to be a no pronouns. Oh, but then like Hasbro was like, no, we are literally just changing the brand of Mr. Potato Head to Potato Heads.
Yeah.
Because who the fuck cares?
Right.
And like, honestly, to me, that's a better name for a brand, for a more generic brand of toys, because they do a lot. Like they make like Marvel and Star Wars, like they'll mix them in. And if you're like some kids, some boys, some girls, sometimes don't want to buy stuff when it has a word Mr. or Miss on it. And it's an easier way to sell a product. Like if you say like a little boy wants to buy like a Mr. Potato Head Scarlet Witch doll.
Sure.
This is gonna be really stupid. It says Miss Potato Head on it, and the kid's like, well, I don't know. Like,
right, yeah, fuck that.
Well, guess what? Now it just says Potato Head, so that kid can hold on to his masculinity and own that Scarlet Witch.
Right, Scarlet Potato.
Yeah, own that, you know. So good job. You're still a macho kid. Don't worry, you're good. Potato Head's looking out for you guys. It is so dumb, but they you got Ted Cruz tweeting about it.
Oh yeah.
People. Okay, so what were you saying about the Aunt Jemima thing?
Oh yeah, this guy went out and he bought a container of Aunt Jemima syrup and Uncle Ben's rice, and he's talking about how he's gonna
get it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it's still on the shelf in some places.
Oh yeah, of course. Some of that stuff doesn't go bad for like 2 years.
Right. So they're gonna grind through their inventory. And he's like, I want to save this so I can show my grandkids what life was like or whatever. And I'm like, what kind of fucked up life are you living? Well,
the kids will be like, you are sad.
They will put you in a home, old man.
You know what? You're the grandparents that like the kids and the kids. The grandkids will never see you because your kids will never want to see you.
Right. They will.
That's the kind of why are you going to come visit me? I want to show them my mammy collection.
Right.
My mammy syrup jar. Why are you going to visit old grandpa? I got a Confederate flag hanging on my wall. Like,
come on over for Sunday brunch. I've got the syrup and I'm making Luftwaffles. Which.
Well, fuck out of here.
It's just yeah, you're right. That's the kind of grandparent where the kids aren't going to bring the grandkids around. It's just sad.
Because you suck. Because you have a collection of fucking old syrup. Because you're a racist piece of shit.
Right. Because you want. It's not even like. Again, like it would be horribly wrong. I'm not. But look, immediately post Civil War. And you've lost your land because you defended, and I could see like these real visceral emotions, like, my way of life has been destroyed, blah, blah, whatever. Horrible. But like, I get it. I get like why the mind would be
from 150 years ago.
Right.
160 years ago.
Some dude standing on aisle 8
at a Walmart.
At a fucking Walmart. And he sees a bottle of syrup and there's no longer a racist caricature on it, and he gets enraged. He's just blood.
Where's my country?
Right.
Give it back to me. Give me back my country.
Right. And he like races over to the cereal aisle to make sure that they are still selling like, I don't know, some other like racist cereal or whatever. But you're like
Lucky Charms. Yeah, mac and chicken delicious.
I said no Irish. I said, like, I don't know. I mean, it just seems like what a sad, fucked up way to live.
Okay, so like the funny thing too is when he said like the person who fought in a war to protect their way of life, whatever, right? Like,
sure, yeah.
Like, I'm happy you lost, but I know what you mean. Like, I could see that, and you sacrificed everything to keep your bullshit going,
right?
But the guy in aisle 8 has fought for nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. Literally just has to go to the store and buy goods that he doesn't have to make, doesn't have to do anything. He lost his shit because some right-wing reactionary probably would never even thought twice about the syrup or the Uncle Ben's rice or any of that stuff. Probably would not even care, or the Land Lakes butter. None of it. If it wasn't a video of fucking Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, or Tucker Carlson. This just in, they took away your Aunt Jemima bottle. Joe Biden is like Tucker Carlson. I could see him like saying that because he did. And now all of a sudden, now that person who gets affected by that bullshit is angry, and they're like, whoa, the butter that I have not bought in 20 years doesn't have the Native American girl on it anymore. And it's like,
yeah, the sad thing is that Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro, they're doing it to make a buck and to like garner some political edge or whatever.
And it's easy. That's the other
reason. So easy and dumb.
So easy.
And they're very seriously getting a lot of these people worked up over nothing, and they're like destroying families. You talk about like the breakdown of the family, like that's probably the biggest break. Like if you have a kid come out, that's not like a family killer anymore. You know, like there's plenty of kids that come out, mom, dad, I'm gay, and the mom and dad are like, we always thought, let's, no big deal. But like, now like dad starts talking about fucking March 4th and how like if you count the number of letters in Trump's name and divide it by the Kabbalah, you're like, oh fuck, that'll
like I lost my parent. Thank you, fucking Ben Shapiro. You want to hear something real quick? And I know I forgot to bring this up when we talked about this. Like the whole Gina Carano thing and like how Ben Shapiro was going to make a movie. The funny thing was that little piece of shit. It was just a grift, the whole thing, because they got all these reactionary morons, and they probably gave what's-her-face some money, too.
Right.
To sign up to the Daily Wire, like already, with no movie, nothing. Just mentioning, we're going to make our own Star Wars. And, like, they got all these idiots to, like, sign up and become a member of the Daily Wire, paying, like, $15 a month for, like, nothing. And, again, a huge grift. It's, like, really, it's a huge scheme. So and they probably paid her some money too to go along, to push it.
Right.
And they used Star Wars' name to do it too. Okay. So like you said, that guy and so that guy who's so upset that his racist characters are not on. And the thing is, like, okay, I grew up with these things and you forget about it and they don't look as racist because you look at like what they looked like 30 years before or 100 years before, and they're like 100 times worse. Like they're like you don't even want to see them. Like it's like disgusting. But in the end of the day, these caricatures were like they are just antiquated. You can just look at it as is it racist or is it like who knows?
It doesn't matter. There's nothing cultural about your fucking syrup. There's nothing like
they wouldn't even give a fuck. It wasn't brought up constantly by Crowder, Tucker, Shapiro, Fox News, Hannity, Trump, all these people. Like they wouldn't give a. They wouldn't even think about it. They would go to the store one day, they pick up the box and be like, whatever. Who cares? Throw out the package, probably never look at it. Where's Aunt Jemima? Where is it? I need her. This is the only way. What the fuck is wrong with
it's just bizarre.
Again, reactionaries, and this is what the right wing is doing right now, especially like right wing media, because they're not in power. And they did the same kind of nonsense with when Obama was president, like the mustard, the tan suit. This is all that. They just it's really dumb shit. And what it does is it plays with people like their grievances and stuff, but it's not real. It's not real grievances. That's what I said about like the what is it, the Capitol thing. I'm like, these are not real grievances. Like you guys look like idiots. Like, what are you mad? We're mad. What are you mad about? Like, what's going on? Like, who's taking what away? They took the Native American girl off my butter.
Yeah, my butter.
Now I'm gonna burn the Capitol down. Like, well, one, you're at the wrong place if you really want to get mad and go. Your AOC did not take the butter girl off. Go to it's a Land O'Lakes company. They probably have an address on the butter.
Yep.
They'll probably shoot you on sight. More well guarded that day than the Capitol was.
Yeah, probably.
But it's like, okay, so The other one, this is the best one. Oh, the Muppets thing. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Where they create this controversy about the Muppets. And it's like, it wasn't canceled. They literally put a warning label on it because it's almost 50-year-old content. And there might be some stuff there that little Billy or Susan or Frank or John or whatever, Caden, Faden, those stupid names.
Right. Sorry.
Jebediah. They're going to be like, what the hell is that, mommy? And they're going to have to explain what the hell a, what's his name? Try to think. Harvey Korman? No.
Oh.
They're going to have to explain what a, who's the guy in the center square?
Oh, not Paul Land. Is it Paul?
Yeah, Paul Land. They're going to have to explain what a Paul Land is. And they're going to have to find the words to describe it. And there's a reason. So Disney's doing a service. And also they removed some episodes because one of them had like a notorious child, like a natural pedophile. Like they're not going to put that episode on. But they didn't cancel the Muppets.
No.
And it was like, but you see Don Jr. going out there, they canceled the Muppets. Like, first of all, like, who cares?
Yeah.
Was it on? Were the Muppets, like, do you remember the Disney Plus is probably like, thank you for promoting it for us.
Right.
We didn't have to spend a dime promoting that the Muppets are now on Disney Plus. Thanks.
Well, it is weird. I mean, with the Democrats in control of things, however tenuous that control is, you definitely see a ramping up of the culture counter of the cancel culture squealing on the side of the right. That's just
and then this one is really good. This one's one of my favorite is Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
Who I don't really know, like, how he was politically, but I would imagine he would not be on the side of Donald Trump Jr.
No, he evolved over the years for sure.
He said that, like, well, first of all, he was. If you look at his older, like, yes, he is. Well, one, he's been dead for what year did he die?
Quite some time. It was a while ago, wasn't it? Let's see, Dr. Seuss. He died. 1991.
Wow.
Born in 1904. Died in 1991.
Wow, I didn't know he was dead that long. I thought he lived longer than that.
Yeah, okay. I seem to remember him dying like when I was in college, which would be about 1991.
So this man is literally from another century.
Yeah.
And he's got probably grew up with views that are intolerable for today.
Sure.
And a culture that, like, I remember talking to my mother-in-law, and she said, like, they had these candies when they were a kid, and I'm not going to say the names of them.
Yeah.
It's horrible. And she's like, we ain't no better. And I'm like,
No.
But I mean, I don't know if she's phrasing it right, but it's like, that's the culture you live in.
Yeah.
And that's not an excuse. But I'm not going to defend his views. But if you look at some of his political art, he was very anti-Nazism. He showed, he pointed out the America First thing. Yeah. There's a great political cartoon he did of like the America First shaking hands with like a Nazi or a like a Nazi or an anti-Semite, whatever it was, and they literally share a beard. And he was trying to imply that the America First people are, and I would imagine that Dr. Seuss would probably have something to say about Donald Trump Jr.'s dad, especially using America First. Literally, he used that when he first became president. And people were like, holy shit, that is literally what like the American Nazis did pre-World War II. There was like a whole America First movement.
Yeah, I think Dr. Seuss would have certainly evolved with the years. And I think he'd probably be a pretty progressive person right now. But like,
he supposedly was embarrassed of some of his old work.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. Like, and some of his old work, I don't know. I don't want to go back into like a defense of like any of his older stuff. It's not. We can cancel some of this stuff. That is okay.
But it's not. We didn't. Here's the funny part. We didn't do that. See, Donald Trump Jr., Ted Cruz, all them, Ben Shapiro, all them, they're all posting about how that. Look, did you see? Like Ted Cruz, what? Did you see? They are canceling Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
They are canceling Dr. Seuss. They call him Zeus because he doesn't know how to talk. And he's a moron. That's the important part. And they'll say that, and people are like, argh! And then like, dude, you guys are the biggest fucking book burners in the world. You like literally, there's a list of books that for years, like all these conservative packs and stuff, like they put out every year, and it's like books they want to ban from libraries, books they want to ban from bookstores. They don't let their kids. It's like, get the fuck out of here. So there's 6 books that the company that runs the Dr. Seuss Foundation or whatever runs it decided we are no longer going to publish new copies of this book anymore. And it was a list of 6 books that I don't think I've ever. Now we all know Griangsahan, we know like the Stars and Sneetch or whatever. And there's like 2 more. Oh, Cat in the Hat. Yeah, Don Trump like, hey, cancel the Cat in the Hat. Like, no, they literally didn't. Where are you? What? And it's like you can just say it. There's no ramifications. There's no consequences. They could say literally anything. So what are these 6 books that were canceled? Do you remember them? I never.
I don't. I mean, I remember seeing some of the pictures, and I read a lot of. Like I said, I took a course in children's literature way back in the day, and Seuss had a ton of books, and a lot of them were pretty inconsequential. They weren't necessarily great books. So I don't remember a couple these of, like, 6
classic books that are literally the Grinch and all that. The reason why we hold on to Dr. Seuss anyways, because there's like 5 books that he made that survived the time, and then there's like a ton of other stuff, and they're okay, but they're not the thing that keeps that brand going forever. Or Horton Hears a Who. That's the other one. And the Lorax. I don't remember that because they made movies of it.
Right. Well, so the Seuss Foundation is getting rid of those. I mean, it's all good. It's all healthy.
But it's like, again, it's like they try to make it, they create this scenario. It doesn't even matter what it is. It doesn't matter if the Seuss company decide to do it, the foundation, or Joe Biden did it himself. They will make it out to be like that he's the one doing it. And they make create this, like they're trying to do this. And it's like, who is they? Globalist.
Right.
Duh. The ones with the Jewish space lasers.
Yeah.
That's where it's going. That's where
it always goes in the end.
It always goes to there. And again, it's hysterical watching people who are making false outrage over things that are not getting canceled. They never were. Not understanding them, and also not respecting private enterprise.
Yeah.
I find, again, really interesting. It's like they didn't cancel Mr. Potato Head. Hasbro decided through
we're just going to change the marketing.
There wasn't a movement. From what I remember, there wasn't a movement out there to like, we demand you get rid of the word Mr. and Potato Heads.
No.
No, the company decided we want to upgrade the brand. They're not selling as well, or we're not selling enough. We're not meeting a quota. How do we do this? Oh, we have an idea. Let's just change the name and market it to different people. That's what companies do. It's called fucking capitalism.
Yeah.
It's like, companies do this all the time. And these guys act like all of a sudden they're like, they're the opposite of what they're supposed to be. Like, free market should be able to do whatever it wants.
Yeah.
Well, we're taking off the racist caricature off the butter.
This goes back to where we kind of began with the masks, in that a lot of, it's funny, but conservatives used to bitch about progressives' moral relativism, that progressives will change their morals based on the situation. But that's what the Republican Party's become, or conservative movement has become, is that they're law and order until they see a law they don't like, and then they're like, we shouldn't have to follow that law.
And then we're invading the Capitol and destroying.
Yep. And then they're all like against cancel culture until they find something you want to cancel, and then they're all for cancel culture. I mean, I don't know. It's tough to argue with them, because they'll just change their sense of right and wrong based on the situation.
The goalpost is constantly moving. Yeah. And this is why it's dangerous. Like, somebody brought up, like, forgot what I was talking. Someone left this comment about something, and I said that, like, the way our country is now with the parties or people in general and the culture is that like we really do exist almost in two different worlds because it used, like I said, it used to be that like Fox would try to dominate the news and get CBS, NBC, and all these other networks to carry their right-wing propaganda. But now they really don't even need to do that anymore. They still do, but they don't need to do it like the way they did it aggressively back in the day. And because it'll just get carried by all the right-wing media, and they don't need, I mean, would they won't admit to it. They would, of course, love NBC and CBS, ABC, all these big networks would carry their bullshit too.
Right.
But at the end of the day, to operate the way they are, they don't need to. They can exist in their own hemisphere. That's why I said, like, when Abbott says, like, we're getting rid of the mask, like, yeah, I don't get it. Can you give me a good reason? And it's like, yeah, because it doesn't exist, dude. And you're like, what? It's like, oh, you come from a world where it doesn't exist, and I guess you know anybody that died of it, or you know people that died of it, but you tell them that they died of like IBS instead.
Yeah.
Lost my uncle IBS. Your uncle died of COVID. No, bro, it was IBS.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I think this is definitely just the beginning of it all, for that end of things, like the cancel culture end. And it's just going to be a wave of distractions until the next big election.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing what they call it, like like workshopping right now. And they're trying to like,
see what works.
But it's like, I'm sorry, who knows? I mean, it could, but like the whole Dr. Seuss thing and stuff like that, they could just, I could say like a rationale, like the Seuss Foundation can come out and be like, we're not canceling these books. We decided that like they don't fit the times and we don't want to do them. It wouldn't matter because it won't reach the people that believe now that the Cat in the Hat is,
under assault. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this was really funny. Donald Trump Jr. Posted a picture of him reading to his kid, smiling at the picture, reading the Cat in the Hat. Right. And first of all, the kid looked like he did not want to be in the photo. Probably the icing on the cake. It's on Twitter. You can probably find it.
Yeah, I'll look that up.
But someone pointed out and said that why is he covered? He had the bilingual version.
Oh, jeez.
And he's purposely covering up that spot because his hand is literally, they're like, he has the bilingual cat in the Hat book, but Don Jr. is purposely trying to cover that part up.
Nice. Yeah, I'll
I don't know why
that.
he would. Yeah. It's like he's trying to cancel a whole language or something. Well, this was a fun one.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about the last 2 episodes of WandaVision.
Yeah, that'll be real fun. Yeah.
And then we'll talk about whatever the nonsense is in the world. I'll probably come back and be like, I was just kidding. I'm now a billionaire.
Right. Yeah.
NFT billionaire.
NFT billionaire.
I just got on there. I posted a picture of a pixelated ball sack, and now I'm a billionaire. And
well, it'll be good. I'm looking forward to wrapping up WandaVision. That'll be real fun. And then I'm sure there will be more current event political nonsense for the next week.
Oh, they're always, let me tell you, like Sunday, I was like thinking, I'm like, there really hasn't been much.
Right, that's true, yeah.
Then like the fucking NFT stuff, fucking, all the nonsense with the cancel thing, but then Greg Abbott came along and said, you want some content for your podcast? I'm gonna let a deadly pandemic run wild in the state unchecked now.
Yeah.
You're welcome. So thanks, Greg Abbott, I guess. He's doing it for the lulz.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
All right. Well, on that note, and check out our Patreon. Thank you.
Oh, yes.
On that note, I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that.
Thank you for listening to You Still Going On About That. Please like, comment, share, and if you haven't done already, please follow us on Instagram, YSGOAT, Facebook, YSGOAT, and Twitter, YSGOAT. Thank you, and have a great day.